works of Carson, Berry, and Sanders do indeed represent a continuation of the literary bomb, in my estimation. Perhaps the part of the actual bomb that most struck me was the valuing of life and mechanization of the workforce responsible for its creation. In the context of Scott Russell Sanders' The Paradise of Bombs, I was focusing on the essays The Inheritance of Tools and The Men We Carry in Our Minds. In The Inheritance of Tools, Sanders describes the difference between a tool and a machine. The former requires skill to be used properly, while the latter does not. On page 108, Sanders wrote, "There are machines for sale, powered miter boxes, for instance, that will enable any casual soul to cut proper angles in boards. The skill is invested in the gadget instead of the person who uses it. And this is what distinguishes a machine from a tool." The bomb, too, can be seen in this light. Just as anyone can use a miter saw to cut wood, anyone could use the bomb, at least theoretically. Most would not have the conscience to do so, would have the conscience not to do so, but there are those in the world who could not care less about the lives of the enemy. The bomb was made at the orders of the government by people who did not necessarily know what project they were a part of. The symbol of the hammer further details the difference. On page 109, Sanders wrote, "The tools in my workbench are a double inheritance. For each hammer and level and saw is wrapped in a cloud of knowing." That mechanization from conception to completion to use of the bomb is unnatural. In our discussion of Carson, I mentioned the detrimental effects that unnatural things can have when inserted into nature where they were never designed to be. Similarly, the bomb is both the product of and contrary to human nature. The ingenuity of men who created it cannot be denied, but the purpose of its invention demonstrates the imperfections of humans. I say it is contrary to human nature in the sense that it had the capability to turn war into something that could exclusively be conducted by machines. That being said, Sanders is critical of war in general, regardless of whether machines are used or boots on the ground utilizing the tools. This is seen in the essay following this one, entitled "The Men We Carry in Our Minds." In this essay, he addressed a point similar to the penultimate essay, Death Games. Specifically, I focused on page 114, where he wrote, "Warriors and toilers, those seemed in my boyhood vision to be the chief destinies for men. They weren't the only destinies, as I learned having a few male teachers, from reading books and from watching television." He then addressed how he could never see himself being one of these great men he saw depicted on television, though. To tie this into the bomb, I thought of from how a young age, as depicted by Sanders, youths are instilled with seeing violence as a virtue. Sanders also addressed that he did not want people to become part of the machine. On page 116, he wrote, "But if I'd been asked as a boy to choose between tending a baby and tending a machine, I think I would have chosen the baby." Throughout this course, we've addressed how there are explosive issues symbolized by the atomic bomb. Sanders believes this high esteem of violence and strength as being worthy of praise led to the mechanization honed in the bomb. Prior to the bomb, people were at least wanting to be skilled in using tools like a soldier, but the bomb is different. The skill went into its creation, and the humanity is eliminated when it is detonated. In the end, these essays do not seem to contradict the themes of the course from our study of the use of the bomb at Hiroshima to the destruction of the environment as written by Carson. These are all issues that make one question what humans are capable of, both good and bad. We are ingenious creatures who can manipulate tiny unseen atoms to create an explosion unlike anything before. Yet this also calls to our attention to the never ever increasing responsibilities that come with the rise of these machines. The bomb allowed man to take life in mass at a scale that is both amazing and terrifying. Sanders believes that the machine eliminates the skill and lessons that used to be transferred from one generation to another when teaching men how to use tools. The fact that man created it does not mean that he should have. The concerns over the very existence of humanity naturally progresses from our study of environmentalists who believe that a people that were able to use the bomb would also show disregard for the natural world just as they had for human life.